Just want to show you how you can flow text in Affinity Publisher through linked text frames. So you do this if you're adding additional content or replacing content so that the text will automatically populate through those linked frames. So we'll just take this example, this 3-column text frame, and what I want to do is to introduce text to that and have that text flow through to new text frames. First of all, I just want to introduce some new text frames, so I'll just select this particular frame and I'll just click this little blue triangle that we have here. Now this allows us to create additional linked frames directly, so if I just come down to this page, if I just drag out, you'll see I get a second 3-column text frame taking the same properties as the original text frame, and I can resize that. I can change the gutter value to 2 centimeters, so that fits in with the underlying column guides that I've designed. And you can see that in the View menu. View Guides Manager, 3-column and a 2 centimeter gutter. So I can continue creating text frames as we go. In this instance, I'll create another 3-column one, but actually I want this to be a single column, so I can change that here. There we go, and I'll just resize that. And so the next column, or frame rather, will be a single text frame. Just move that to the right here. And we'll do the same again. Great, okay, so I think I might just need to just adjust that slightly. Okay, so what I can do is go back up to the original text frame. I'll just get that back to there, say here, and I'll just select all. There we go, and I'll do File Place, choose a text file, click Open. And you'll see there that the text has flowed from the very start, because we're replacing all of the text frame content, and it's flowing through with this additional text right the way through. Okay, I just want to undo from that point. And we'll get back to looking at a different way of populating the text frames, and that's by creating text frames on Overflow. So if I just select all the text in here again, I'll do File Place, select Inker Trail here. You'll see something different has happened because it hasn't auto-flowed into those empty frames you saw below. Instead, it's just overset the text. In other words, it's filled this single text frame and hidden all of the text it can't manage to populate the frame with, and it's kind of like overflown. So if I just click on this, this little eye icon here, you can see if I just click that, it gives you an indication of the text that is continuing beyond the text frame's boundaries. And this is switched off by default, so it's hidden, but you can always click it to show. Now what's important here is that this icon here, this little triangle, which was blue before, which indicated that the text, all the text sat correctly within the text frame, it was unlinked. If I do click on this particular one, which indicates overflow, I can, with the cursor there, just come down and then drag out from this position here all the content which was overset. Let's reposition there. And again, I can set the gutter value to 2. And that's kind of happy with that. So kind of repeating what we did before, I can just click on this icon here and drag out with the text there. Make this a 1 column and we can continue populating. Now at the moment the text doesn't populate this last frame, but I plan to have that populating, and we'll do that by just adjusting some frame and column breaks. I'll just finally add the last text frame there. Incidentally, between each text frame you've got this text flow indicator, so it's very useful to get an idea of exactly where the next text frame is going to. So you can just use that as an indicator. So I can see that in the View menu. If I uncheck Show Text Flow, you'll see that I can control that display there. Okay, let's just go up to the original text frame. So from this point I can introduce things like frame breaks, just to push that onto the next line, column breaks, and then we end up with this particular scenario. I'll just add a kind of a last one in there. Okay, so there we have it. So that's two different ways of populating the text frames. What we can also do is, if we particularly didn't want to have this last text frame the same size as the other text frames, I can resize that and move it. Okay, so let's have a look at some additional tips and tricks you can use with text frames. So if, for instance, I didn't want this particular last text frame to be included in the sequence of text frames, I can just simply select it and then click on this, it's kind of like the beginning blue triangle, and click on the contents, and that detaches that particular text frame from the sequence. But this will now overflow. So what I could do instead is to keep that link. I could select all the text there, I could cut it, break the connection, then paste that in there. So that's always, the text is always placed there. I can also just simply delete a text frame using the Move tool. So I've deleted that. You will now find that as I've done that, because I haven't lost any text content, but it has actually gone back to the previous text frame and overflowed that text frame at this point here. And what you get is this red dot here, and this indicates that if the text frame is not selected, you'll still get an indication of overset text whenever you're scanning through your document. So if I do click it, I get back to having this red triangle, and then I can then simply just go in there and just redraw exactly where I want that new frame to be. What it can also do is I can just delete a frame which is in the middle of a sequence by just deleting there, and you'll find that that now relinks from one to the other there, and the text flows accordingly. Finally, I want to show you a cool and powerful feature called Autoflow. So this allows me to generate new pages and text frames automatically when I click a button on my initial text frame, if it contains a large amount of text, perhaps imported from a Word document. Now this amount of text could be the whole contents of a book, so this is great for long document support. I'll just show you that now. So if we select this publication page, you'll see there's a single text frame in there. If I just click for an insertion point and place a Microsoft Word docx document in there, click open, and the text at the moment is relatively unformatted, but I just want to show you that if I come down to this area here, I'll just switch off the images there on the master pages to see that a little bit better. this area here on the text frame, you see this little red triangle. So if I click that, I'd be able to create a new text frame. But if I press the Shift key, I will automatically create all of the pages and text frames which replicate this initial text frame right the way through to the end of the book. So it will exhaust all of the text content up to, say, 80 pages. And we'll just do that right now. So Shift key down and press this little triangle. And you'll see that we've gone from one page right the way through, creating text frames as we go, always the same size as the initial text frame, right the way across spreads until we get to the end of the book, the end.